Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I can't join you live today because I'm out of town, but I had made sure that I prepared the topic that I said I would prepare. So it's quite early morning. It's about 5:30, I think. But I have quite a packed morning, so I thought let me just quickly get this video and upload it. So last week I promised we would talk about self-sabotage. Today, self-sabotage. And, you know, so many people are unhappy, not because they don't have everything it takes to be happy, but because I really don't, some people just don't know how to be happy. And often it is these self-sabotaging behaviors that they exhibit that they have made a habit that tends to steal their joy, to borrow from that phrase, steal their joy. So what is self-sabotage? Simply put, self-sabotage is when you undermine your goals, when you undermine your values, when you undermine everything you have to be successful. In fact, when you undermine your own success, self sabotage is undermining your own success. It's standing in the way of you getting successful, whatever that success is, be it in relationships or in careers or in meaningful things, in meaningful aspects of life. So I'm going to make it a simple example about self-sabotage. It's not that you don't know you need to lose the weight. People who've got weight as a goal, um, and it's not that you don't know that you need to lose, let's say, 15 kilograms or whatever your goal is. You know that you need to lose it to feel great and to feel healthy, but you go ahead and eat that burger, and you go ahead and eat that cake, and you eat those things in the middle of the night when it's actually not part of your meal plan. So you skip the exercising and you're binging on fizzy drinks. So that's self-sabotage in its clearest form. I know, I'm not attacking you guys. You know yourselves. but but yeah, so self-sabotage is all about the behaviors that prevent you from reaching your full potential, and those behaviors prevent you from reaching your goals as you would like them. It can be conscious and also unconscious. So self-sabotage can exhibit itself in both conscious ways and unconscious ways. The example I just gave above is a very sorry, prior is a very a simple example of conscious self-sabotage. But the level of whether it's conscious or unconscious, it depends on your awareness of it. It depends on your awareness of it. So unconscious self-sabotage is doing things that undermine your goals and sense of worth, but you only realize it after. So you're not realizing it in the moment, you're realizing it after. And you know I think one of the examples I can give here is that people who fear failure people who fear failure may develop a habit unconsciously. They may develop a habit of leaving work until late. So they may develop a habit of procrastination, of leaving work until late, or being late doing something, or doing a shoddy job to avoid promotion or recognition, because what promotion and recognition bring about is more responsibility, which they are afraid to take on because they're afraid they will fail. So an example of unconscious self-sabotage, where you get in the way of your own progress because of the underlying fear. And it's one of the key reasons of self-sabotage is well, one of the reasons people self-sabotage is the lack of self-esteem. It's a low self-esteem. It's feelings of worthlessness, and feelings that you don't deserve the great things in life. So underlying fear can also cause significant self-sabotage. In fact, I think fear and anxiety is one of the key reasons why people self-sabotage. So in that example I just gave about unconscious self-sabotage, a person is not aware that they're doing all these things to stand in their own way, and they fear that their expectations they won't be able to live up to. um and it could also be things like, in a relationship, you're getting to know someone, and you you could be you could just be mean to them for no reason, um just so that you avoid getting close to other people. Again, that stems maybe from previous experiences or past experiences that were not pleasant. And I know a lot of you guys know this, know yourselves. When you start getting close to someone now, you can see that they've got all the feels for you, and you're like, yo, I'm not gonna do this. But subconsciously, you start being mean to them, or mistreating them, or disrespecting them, doing all the things that you know are going to make them mad at you, or decide that you're actually not the person to be with. So you self-sabotage. It is a pattern of thoughts and behaviors that you engage in, often without knowing. And it's a pattern of behaviors and thoughts that you engage in that create obstacles to achieving your goals, that create obstacles. So yes, a lot of people are aware of their self-sabotaging behaviors, but others are not. In fact, in the same person, there could be unconscious as well as conscious self-sabotage. And I think in some shape or form, a lot of people go through some kind of self-sabotage. It's just, I guess, the variation, the depth, the impact, and the consequences of it. I love what Shirani Patak says, who's a psychotherapist. They say that self-sabotage isn't sabotage at all. It is actually a protective mechanism created by your psyche in order to keep you safe from any potential danger or harm. It is a protective mechanism. And what Shirani says is that what's familiar to us is what our psyche considers safe. What's familiar to us is what our psyche considers safe. So what is our psyche? Our psyche is simply your mind, your soul, your spirit. And in a way, I think what that does is that it gives comfort, that self-sabotage often happens completely unaware. So I really would like to say, allow yourself some grace. Allow yourself some grace when you've been engaging in self-sabotaging behaviors, because it is just a protective mechanism. But of course, once you are aware of it, once you realize what the consequences are, once you realize how it's not serving you, then you have to do something about it. So you can no longer say, no, I'm just protecting myself, because the unintended consequences of self-sabotage, or actually the consequences of self-sabotage, is that you never reach your full potential. You'll never reach your life partner. You never reach your career goals. You never reach whatever you want, because you keep standing in your own way. So when we are faced with change or new situations, our mind sends signals, and those signals are danger, 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 because our bodies, our psyche is trying to protect us from something that is unfamiliar. And the fight or flight scenario. So it's I think the point I'm making here is that we have to allow ourselves some grace, and space to figure ourselves out. You know very well how I believe inner work is the foundation of it all. And part of understanding your own emotions is about understanding who you are. It's about understanding where you've come from and how the things you experienced shaped you. Because self-sabotage is not it's not a concept or something that happens overnight. It's triggered by something. It comes from somewhere. You experienced something as a child. You maybe observed those kinds of behaviors, things like being passive aggressive, Maybe you observed all those things. Maybe you observed your own parents staying in an unhappy marriage, and they were doing it for the kids, but actually ultimately no one wins. So it comes from many past life experiences, and maybe some traumas that have triggered self-sabotage. But fear and anxiety is a big component of self-sabotage. So and I'm sure, I mean, it's no secret that I always say that what what we carry is not so much the issue for me, because life is always going to throw challenges at you. Um, it is the moment you are aware of it, what are you doing about it? So, in fact, it is about seeking self awareness. In life, you constantly have to silk it's early morning, guys. Seek self awareness, because when you are aware of something, then you can find a solution to it. And you cannot fix something that you are not aware of. So knowledge of self is critical. And self-sabotage is creating unnecessary pain and self-generated stress. Unnecessary pain and self-generated stress. For example, a lot of people who feel like their partners don't listen to them will end up talking more, like they say, so much more, hoping that puts pressure on their partner to start listening. But what then happens, the partner just shuts down, and then the other person feels like they really aren't being heard. So when your partner tunes out, that creates even more stress for you. So it's just another example. It most certainly holds you back and destroys your prospects at a good life. It destroys your prospects at a good life. So there are many reasons why people self-sabotage, and there isn't one or simple reason that why people do it. But our life experiences and personalities are quite predisposed. Predispose us to different modes of thinking. So we all think differently based on where we've come from, what we've experienced, and what our personalities dictate. Um, but the ways of thinking can be a disadvantage. They can be a disadvantage, and we have biases as humans. We have biases, inherent biases, both conscious or unconscious biases. There are things that we are more prone to like, more prone to be drawn to, by virtue of multiple different reasons. So, for example, here I'll talk about how our thinking modes can drive these self-sabotaging behaviors. People who are prone to anxiety are always looking for threats. They're hyper vigilant. They're constantly looking for threats, or signs of threats, signs that something might be about to harm them. But they end up detecting threats that are not there. So they end up detecting threats that are not there, or their minds play tricks on them, and that causes even more anxiety. So self-sabotage behaviors are like these self-fulfilling prophecies. They're these self-fulfilling prophecies where you think something bad is going to happen, and actually what ends up happening is that you end up eating away at yourself, because you are so hyper vigilant about threats that don't exist. I think I also just want to say that we really have to be aware of our own thinking biases. So we have to be aware of our own thinking biases. I always say to people, especially people who can't say no, I say try saying, let me think about it, so that you allow yourself some room to deal with the emotions of having to let people down. I say when you have anxiety, and I'm not talking, please seek help if you are really struggling with anxiety. I'm just saying that if you find yourself if you find that the way you think and how you view the world is causing you more anxiety, try second thoughts. If you start seeing threats, or what you believe, what your mind is seeing, or what you believe you are seeing, don't believe it immediately. Try a second thought. So what I mean by that is, discount your first thought, but firstly you have to be aware of what your thinking biases are. You have to be aware of what your emotions are. And if you think everyone you come across is trying to hurt you or it wants to harm you, you just need to take a step back, just take a moment and discount that first thought, and allow yourself the time to review your emotions and review the situation again. Because what that gives you is just a second thought. It gives you a second look. It gives you a different perspective. So you can try telling yourself out loud that your brain is telling you this is a threat to harm you. But what if it is an opportunity to grow? So that's how you can take a second thought. It's, what if this is an opportunity to grow? So I say, question your brain. Question what you believe you are seeing. But you cannot do that if you do not understand what your thinking biases are. You cannot do those things if you don't understand what your self-sabotaging behaviors are. So you have to start unlocking and unpacking. And how do you do that? For every negative feeling you have, there's a lesson in that. So I don't take negative emotions as these things that are like, yeah, you don't know how to be positive. No, darling, we are all human. We are susceptible to negative emotions. And I take negative emotions as an opportunity to learn why you had a reaction like that and what to do about it. So, I think if you are a person that's prone to 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 anxiety or seeing threats everywhere you go, just accept that maybe your brain is lying to you. Okay, so let's not say your brain is lying to you, because that's a shock to your system, but let's just say the brain gets things wrong sometimes. And that what you may see as harm might in fact be an opportunity. So for example, if you are getting in a relationship and it's getting serious, and your inclination is to self-sabotage, what if actually that's the life partner you've been looking for? So that's the opportunity part of something that may look like a threat, because you're carrying underlying fear, how it can actually turn out to be quite a gift. So I hope that that helps a bit. But one of the key reasons people sabotage is that that sense of worthlessness. Again, these things are both conscious and subconscious, and unconscious. So it's so important to understand where you are in terms of your own sense of worth. Because if you are self-sabotaging, chances are you don't believe you are worthy of anything that is great. And that may be, it may be something that exhibits itself every single day in conscious ways or unconscious ways. In fact, if you'd like to build up your self-esteem, I'd say watch one of the mentorship sessions I did recently, on the same channel, about self-esteem, what it is and how to improve on it. And I really believe that that self-esteem is a foundation, is a critical foundation of how you face the world, because it determines how you feel about yourself. So, self-sabotage behaviors are self-fulfilling prophecies, as I mentioned, and with every failed attempt to do things the way you want, you prove to yourself that you can't, or you really shouldn't, because you're driven from a place of fear. You're driven from a place of consequences of fear, which is shame, which is letting people down, which is your family not respecting you, or any of those underlying issues. So self-sabotage, by the way, is considered a form of psychological harm. It's considered a form of psychological harm because your negative habits consistently undermine your efforts. It's a vicious cycle. And it is often driven by things like negative self-talk, where you tell yourself that you are inadequate, or that you are not worthy of your success. So, people who tell themselves that, ah, you know, what's the point of trying? I'll fail anyway. That you will fail, because that's it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will fail because that is what you believe you will. And things like, why bother? I can't do that. You can't do that. And all these things are really driven from a place of negative self-talk and not believing that you're worthy of your success. And at this point, I think I want to say imposter syndrome is a self-sabotaging behavior. That's why a lot of people, when they ask me, have you ever suffered the imposter syndrome? I'm like, no. Why? I've worked for what I've got. I am where I am completely out of hard work and creating the opportunities. And some people opened the door for me, but that's because I was worthy of the door being of that door opening. So it's not, no one got me where I am. It wasn't out of favor. It wasn't because I don't know, for whatever reason that people believe they don't deserve their success. There isn't a single day where I feel like an imposter in my life. It doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter how big a league I'm playing at. I'm like, yeah, I belong here. I just needed to work, and maneuver my way through life to get to where I am. So, because I believe I deserve it. Why not? Why is success reserved for others and not me? So, and I again, I'll mention that in a bit about competition. This sense that for me to win, someone must lose. I don't live my life like that. So I really believe that we can all win and we can all lose. It's just a matter of life and about timing. Um, and and I think competition, or thinking in a competitive manner, or having come from a background of, for someone to win, someone must lose, is that scarcity mentality. I really just believe there's so much abundance in everything we do. There's so much abundance. The cake is so big. None of us will ever even finish that one slice that we have. So, but it's a state of mind. It's how you look at life. It's how you think about your world. I never feel like for me to be successful, someone must lose, because that's not the kind of success I want. That's not. I think God would frown upon me if I started doing things like that. That's not my value system. My value system is collective success. My value system is, if the company has done well, I share the profits with my people. That's my value system. My value system is, I want my husband to be happy. I want my husband to prosper. I want him to realize his dreams. I don't want to keep him under my foot. I don't want to tie him to a chair and say, don't leave. You can't have a life outside of me. Why would I do that? That's not how I view life, So I don't. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I think what we really have to understand is that nothing will change in your life until you make the decision to change and act upon it. And only you know what bothers you. Only you know how you show up for yourself and those around you. You may not know why you do it, but you know what it is that you do. And the greatest gift in life is spending the time to understand why you do certain things, why you show up the way you show up in under certain circumstances. So past relationships where you didn't feel heard or supported can also trigger self-sabotaging behavior. So you just, those people who just keep quiet to defend themselves. So they just keep quiet to defend themselves from either being angry or the rejection. They just decide, okay, I'm not going to say anything anymore. And unfortunately, the results of you not speaking up are that you will never be heard because you actually don't speak up, you don't advocate for your needs. So that's another example of self-sabotaging behaviors. I must talk a little bit about perfectionism, which is one example of self-sabotaging behavior. In fact, I think it's a great example of self-sabotaging behavior because, you know, perfectionists want things to go exactly the way they want them. They want to control the effort and the outcome. It doesn't matter if it's with themselves or with others. And I've heard people say, I'm a perfectionist, but it's okay. That's just me. I don't expect that of others. No, you do. Very much so, actually. You probably expect more from others than yourself. So, and there's nothing cute about perfectionism. Let's just maybe get that out of the way. It's possible that there was a time when we thought, oh, saying I'm a perfectionist actually makes you seem so, oh, girl, we all aspire to be like you. No, I don't aspire to be like you if you're a perfectionist, because it means you are a proper control freak in some shape or form, and you don't actually believe in other people's opinions or how things can be done differently to you. It means that you constantly want to control every single thing around you. I guess that is human nature, the part about wanting to control outcomes. But when you get to a point where you understand that the only person you can control is yourself, the only person you can control is yourself. And anyone and everyone around you that you're trying to control will soon rebel and leave you in some shape or form. Be it emotionally leave you, be it physically leave you, be it whatever, because nobody can live under those circumstances, and nobody can live under those circumstances and be happy. So from the onset, I think if you do tend to have perfectionist tendencies, from the onset, presume you are not going to get everything right. Just presume it. Like, it's just a matter of being a human. You are not going to get everything right. And to limit the stress of perfectionism, try ways of making some mistakes. Try ways of making some mistakes. So I'm saying, wake up and understand that not everything has to be perfect. Not everything has to be lined up in exactly the same way, because that takes the juice out of living. I really believe that living fully is actually navigating the contours of life that look so unlike something that you would typically go for. So it's accepting and giving yourself a whole lot of grace that it's okay to get some things wrong. Actually, assume from now on going forward, assume that you will get things wrong, and liberate your mind from this concept of everything must be, every I must be dotted and every T crossed. So I think another example of maybe limiting some of the stress is, don't put off doing things that can easily be forgotten. So don't put off things that can easily be forgotten. I'll give you an example. If you're going to travel soon and you're busy making your travel plans, you're booking your flights, your accommodation, immediately take out your passport from the drawer. Take out your passport from the drawer and put it where you will be, in your bag, the bag you're going to take, put it in your travel bag, whatever. Put it where you will be able to see it, because it is so easy to forget a passport. But guess what happens when you get to the airport and you've forgotten your passport? Yeah, all hell breaks loose. Let me just put it that way. So and remember, because perfectionists don't allow themselves to make mistakes, that is a catastrophe for somebody. So to try and eliminate that stress, just do the things that you can actually do simply, and the things that you can easily forget, get it out of the way quickly. I am that person. When I think of something, I do it immediately, because I know I will forget, because I have a million things that are going through my brain that I have to be worried about. So I have to take away the stress from myself. But I'm also that person that doesn't leave things till the last minute, because that puts too much strain on me. I don't like to be running around and like just panicking, because I don't panic. I'm a person that does not panic because I allow myself space. I allow myself time. I allow myself room. And when there's something to be dealt with, I keep my head and I think, okay, so what's the solution? So I am, as a result, I don't leave things till the last minute, because I just think that causes unnecessary stress and unnecessary pain on you. So try that, and see. It's for another person, to be honest, it's probably not such a perfectionist example, but nobody wants to forget their passport. You feel like such a failure. So imagine that feeling when you are not even a perfectionist. Imagine what perfectionists actually feel like. It's probably for them like the most irresponsible thing you can do, the most, and then that negative self-talk keeps coming back. So please preempt that you are not perfect. Preempt that nothing is perfect. Preempt that no one is going to show up in the way you want them. Assume that from today going forward, you will feel the best relief in your life. And let go of the need to control the outcome and to control others. And people who have underlying fear, they get temporary relief from anxiety, from panicking, because they think if they worry about these things, then they're in control, they can find a solution. But it's temporary a relief. And you soon just go back into a vicious cycle where you realize you're just self-sabotaging. So another example, if you use something often, have it in strategic positions in the house. So if there's something that you use often, have it in strategic points in the house. So multiple places, so that you eliminate the stress of trying to find something when you need it and it's not there. Particularly perfectionists, they want everything to be here. If it's supposed to be here, where is it? And then they stress the whole night because somebody cannot find a pen that they want that should have been here. How about you put multiple different pens in multiple different places so that when you need it, you find it? And it's a so think about the things that you use every single day, because you have to preempt your stress levels. You have to preempt what you need to do to reduce them. And living with a person that is a perfectionist is a strain on everybody, because you are constantly expected to be on eggshells and towing the line. But I mean, what's the point of living if you have to live like that? So and what I mean by that, what's the point of being with that person if you don't feel like you can be yourself? So I never get things like, someone leaves a toilet seat up and it's irritating, or someone leaves their clothes on the floor, and I don't see how these things can cause so many relationship wars. Why don't you just drop the toilet seat? Like, I figure if you have a problem with someone leaving the toilet seat up, they probably should have a problem with you leaving it down. Like, I don't get that. I think it's just unnecessary stress, honestly. And things like, I mean, just pick up the clothes. If they bother you so much, why don't you just pick them up and put them in a laundry bin? Of course, you can talk to the person and say, listen, it's a bit awkward or untidy. I don't like you leaving stuff around because, let's keep the space hygienic. Yeah, you can have that conversation, but I don't see how these things are suddenly wars, or how they can cause wars and divorce and things. It's different with children because you're trying to teach them those habits. But I also get to a point where I'm just like, listen, you can teach your kids values and be consistent every single day, but also the days when you don't actually have to keep badgering them for something. Just if they've left something, pick it up. What does it take away from you? They're at school. It's not like now we must send them text. I told you never leave your clothes. That time this little person is in class trying to focus, and you adding more stress to their day. So anyway, so going back to procrastination, by the way, when you procrastinate or avoid things that you have to do, your anxiety doesn't get better. I just want you to know your anxiety doesn't get better. It only increases. It only increases. This is, again, self-fulfilling prophecies. So try and simplify your life and reveal it for what it is. So you are standing in your way, and that is what it is. Procrastination is exactly that. You are standing in your own way. And I want to make another example about intimacy and commitment issues as an example of self-sabotaging behaviors. And this one is just as common. And this one shows up in you habitually abandoning or ruining healthy relationships, be it friends or romantic relationships. And this is because you have a hard time opening yourself up, and you are afraid of getting hurt. You're afraid of getting hurt. And maybe you let yourself get emotionally vulnerable before, and maybe it wasn't reciprocated, or the consequences were dire, or somebody hurt you or didn't appreciate it. Whatever the situation was, and that you are afraid to get hurt again. So you ruin perfectly healthy relationships out of fear. And the truth is that losing that relationship may be temporary relief because you've escaped fear or anxiety, but you've ruined a good thing. You've ruined a good thing. And isn't it that we deserve a good thing? Isn't it that we deserve good lives, good life partners? Isn't it that that's what we deserve? So I think you need to watch your patterns. Watch your patterns, because there's so much power in your patterns. There's so much knowledge in your patterns, because that shows you how you show up for yourself and others. Stress eating, another example of self-sabotaging behavior. Stress eating or substance abuse. Many people turn to food and substance to deal with stress and anxiety. Because they temporarily feel good. They temporarily feel good. Some numb the pain through substance. But the truth is that whilst that may distract you from pain, it's a very temporary relief. And this is how addictions happen, because people then keep wanting the relief from the pain, and they keep using more and more substance, or keep eating more and more in unhealthy manners. But this it really takes you miles back. So you have to watch how you're using food and substance as a coping mechanism, because you're just self-sabotaging. You're going to develop unhealthy dependencies and addictions, which are far more difficult to come back from. So, and substances is anything, including alcohol. One of the things that I have a rule of, I don't have champagne when I'm sad. Like, I don't drink when I'm sad. When I say drink, I only drink champagne. But when I'm sad, I don't do it, because I've actually trained myself over a period of time that it's become second nature. When I'm sad, I won't touch the stuff. And so I'm not a person that drowns my sorrows, because I'm aware of what that can do. I think you end up feeling worse than you actually were before. So I don't do that. And I'm not a person that, like, I can use a phrase that's like, oh, I need a drink because I've had a bad day or something. But I actually won't have a drink because I've got an internal switch. When I'm having a negative emotion or negative day or a negative experience, I stay away from substance or alcohol. And I guess also for me, I grew up with an uncle who was an alcoholic, so I'm quite conscious about how I'm using or consuming alcohol. And again, it's not so much that you mustn't drink. It's just, your consumption levels and what you are using alcohol for. So it's a and how you are consuming. I have no interest in drinking to get drunk. I just think that is so not classy. And not just for women, for men too. I will not be interested, or I wasn't before, interested to in any guy that doesn't know how to handle their business. If you don't know how to handle your drink, stay away from it, please, because you end up doing funny things, and they're not funny in the funny sense. We're all just like, what the hell is going on? Anyway, another example is chronic lateness. People who are constantly late, chronically late. It could be that you feel anxious about socializing with people. People who suffer anxiety, it shows itself in such different ways. So it could be that you don't want to be early so that you don't socialize with people. But guess what ends up happening? People lose respect for you, and they don't trust you anymore. And in fact, I can tell you, at the top of my list of people I disrespect and don't trust are people who are always late, who are chronically late. I don't appreciate it at all. I don't appreciate it at all. In fact, I think it is disrespectful, and I think you don't see me, and you don't appreciate my time. And there's nothing more valuable to me than my time. So chronic lateness is a form of self-sabotaging behavior, because whilst on the one end you might be anxious about socializing with people, and this actually could be completely unconscious, as in you possibly aren't aware that you have this anxiety around socializing with people, and especially people who come through as perfectionists because they want to be seen in a certain way, they want to speak in a certain way, they want to look a certain way, and all of these things can cause so much anxiety. And to avoid being exposed, you choose to be late. But then you end up losing friends and relationships because people just don't trust you anymore, and you've eroded that trust and respect that they have. So chronic lateness, guys, and please, there's nothing like African time. Please do not disrespect me. Like, I'm African, I don't want you to speak on my behalf. There's no such thing as African time. There's time, and that's it. It's how you decide you treat time. And you can't say on behalf of all Africans that Africans don't respect time. That's not true. In fact, that's an insult. So all these people who think it's cute to say, oh, African time. If I've invited you for something at 3 o'clock, I expect you to be sitting down at 3 o'clock. And that's it. I'm not, yeah, you can text me and tell me, oh, I'm running late for, I don't know, because my child is coughing blood. That I think I can appreciate. But if you have to be seated at 3 o'clock, why do you leave your house only at 2:45 when you have a 30-minute drive or 40-minute drive? It's unacceptable. It's ridiculous. In fact, this is how people don't recognize you. This is how people don't give you more responsibility. This is how they don't actually see you being a critical player in society, because you think time is something to play with. You think people must wait on you. Why must people wait on you? People have things to do. People have things that are more important than sitting and waiting on you. Okay, guys, maybe I'm venting a bit here, but whoa, if you want to piss me off, be late. And no, anyone who knows me, they'll tell you, I'm never late. If I'm late for something, you must know that there's a serious disaster happening. And unfortunately, some people find it to be pressure on them that I'm always early. I'm like, I have friends who will invite me to a party, and the party starts at 4. They tell me, but for you, Amanda, it's 5:30. I'm like, so why did you put 4 o'clock on the invite then? And I'm like, I go according to what time is on the invite. And I find it really awkward that I have to tell people that, listen, I know that you're not going to start on time and I respect my time, so I'll only be there 2 hours later. It just destabilizes, my day, because time is everything. So I think you really need to watch your attitude towards time, because if you're constantly late, you something is happening there. You are disrespecting people, and they will not trust you anymore. And you need to understand why you do it. Why do you do it? What is the point of taking 2 hours putting on makeup? So you're gonna rock up looking like, yeah, okay, you've done your face, but and everyone around you must do what? Wait for you to look pretty. I no, guys. No. Mm-mm. Please. I just don't have respect for people who don't keep time. I don't have respect for people who don't keep time. And there's chronic lateness. I mean, imagine at work, people must constantly be waiting for you. And when you start being the joke of the day, that, that's how she is. That's not cute, guys. You will go nowhere if you do not respect time. If you do not respect people's time, you will get nowhere. If you don't respect your own time, you are guaranteed that you are going nowhere. So, observe those behaviors and understand why you're doing them. And please don't speak on behalf of us Africans and say it's an African time thing. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's a cop-out, it's an excuse for bad behavior, for disrespecting people. Another example of self-sabotaging behavior, chronic worry. Chronic worry. People who constantly worry. Constantly worrying. So people who worry about everything all the time. All the time. They're constantly worried. Everything is a disaster. Everything is a catastrophe. Constantly worrying. So people who worry about everything all the time, they think that they're in control when they worry. They think that worrying is a form of control. But actually they create more anxiety. They create more anxiety. I've been around people who worry all the time. They don't sleep well. So you create more anxiety, you don't sleep well. That creates even more problems for you, because your body doesn't get to rest, your mind doesn't get to regenerate, your cells don't get to regenerate, you don't get to replenish, and physically you just tank. So you create even more problems by worrying. But they think that they're in control by worrying. And when people feel helpless or unsure, they think that worrying gives them relief. And it fools them. It fools them into thinking that they can do something about it. You can't. And I'm sure you've heard me say, there's no way I'm giving my energy and time to things I cannot control. If I can't do anything about it, I can't control it. If I can't control it, I can't worry about it. Doesn't mean it doesn't concern me. Okay, so there's a big difference between it concerns me and I have to worry about it. No, I'm very clear. There are things I can't control. I can be concerned that Russia has invaded Ukraine, but because I know what's going to happen to every single thing, the oil price, you name it. But must I worry about that? What can I do about it? Can I go and convince Putin to stop attacking Ukraine? No. So, so why am I giving it my energy? It's concerning, yes, but there are things that you need to understand, that the world will happen in spite of you. The world will happen in spite of you. Challenges are going to come your way. You don't ask for them. You don't ask for the cards you're dealt in life. Sometimes the cards just come. And it's about, how are you prepared to deal with those cards? How are you prepared? What is your muscle to withstand what happens in your life? So, it's worrying does not take away the event. Worrying does not take away the challenge. What it does is it takes away your energy, takes away your peace of mind. It takes away your ability to just be at peace. It takes that away. I think it's worth fighting for to get those things back, you know. So there's no simple or one answer reason as to why people self-sabotage. It's not always apparent or always clear or always conscious. It's often unconscious as well. There's no simple or one reason why or simple way of answering why people self-sabotage, but I can give some examples. Other examples include getting into relationships with people you don't respect or rate, you know, because it makes you feel better than them. It makes you feel better than them. And, you know, the truth is, who suffers though in the end? Who suffers in the end? So be discerning about who you're picking to be in a relationship with. I can tell you, I want to be part of a wolf pack, like proper. I don't want to be friends with people who are not at my level of intellect or even better. Or who are, and when I say intellect, their ability to look at life from many different perspectives and angles. I want to run with wolves. I want my pack to be packing. You know, and I took my time choosing a life partner because I didn't just want to settle for what was available. No, I wanted what I deserved and what I wanted, you know. So it's incredible how we self-sabotage through these decisions that we make every single day. And I mean, you've seen how very pretty girls might go for someone who's not exactly societal standards, is not the most prettiest, because they're trying to make sure that they shine and outshine them. You know, those things about, again, you heard me say the competitiveness of our minds in life, where one must win for one to lose, or for one to win, one must lose. And you know, it's something that we really have to first of all fix in ourselves, but teach our children differently. Teach our children differently. You know, I was this concept of competition. You know, somebody once said to me, yeah, but I mean, in sport, for example, competition is, that's the only thing, you all fighting to be number one. I said I beg to differ, because imagine the Olympics. Let's just think about the recent Olympics as an example, or whatever, you know, whatever sporting code, a sporting event. Yeah, the rules might be one, there will be number one who's determined the winner. But if I've come number five and I'm like doing cartwheels because I have had COVID multiple times, I didn't even think I was gonna make it. It was a near death experience for me. You name it, I've won. I'm the winner, you know, because we're all fighting some personal battle, be it that you can see it or you can't see it. And you know that this obsession with thinking that people who are successful were always successful, you know. But you don't know what I've had to deal with. You don't know what I may have lost in this last cycle of seasons, and you think you can just see my life and be like, oh, I want to be like that, and you think overnight you'll be that. No, it's that concept of scarcity that we think, you know, for me to be successful, somebody else must lose. No, actually, the win and the loss is in us. You know, I may have lost the last 3 seasons, but I'm here hustling hard, and then I'm winning the next 4 seasons, and then I'm losing the next 10 seasons. You know, that's just how life goes. That's just the beauty and the juice in life. For me, that's the stuff that really excites me about living, is the fact that I may not get something right today, but tomorrow, if I'm gifted that chance, I will fix it. I will customize something. I will take a different turn, because that's the gift in life. That's the gift in life. So yeah, you can argue that there can only be one number one, but I don't believe that. Yeah, technically yes, but Every single thing stems from you, from inside. What are you fighting? Some people just went to the Olympics just to compete, was the biggest achievement of their lives, and they're happy with that, you know. But we constantly want to force technicalities into our lives. We constantly want to say, listen, I am 30 or I'm 40. I should be like Amanda. I should be like that one. I should be. There's no should be like anything. You have to be who God created you to be. You must have the life that God gifted you. You work hard for that life. You smash your goals. There will be years where you don't smash your goals, but life isn't just about linearity. Life isn't just this one long road and you can see the end of it there. No, it's in navigating the contours. It's shining some light into the dark spots. It's understanding that you're gonna constantly have to keep trying again, and that not everything is just settled and that's it. No, you have to keep going. So along the path, you have to choose right. You have to choose right. And if you keep choosing wrong or badly, whatever your definition is, if you keep choosing people who do not bring value to your life, then you need to understand why you keep doing that. Because clearly, at a conscious level, you want to be happy. You want to be with someone you respect. You want to be someone who's beautiful and looks after themselves. And I'm not talking beautiful as in just the face. I'm talking about a person who can look after themselves, who can look after their soul, who understands what their connectivity is to the universe, who understands how we are connected and their spirituality shines through. And I'm not talking religion. I'm talking about the understanding that we are spiritual beings who are here for a reason. And what is that reason? I have no doubt you want to be surrounded by people who are pushing on and thriving. And thriving doesn't mean every season there's harvest. Hey, listen, I grow vegetables. There are seasons when I'm like, oh, this thing did so well last season, so what's happening now? There are seasons when you put in just as much effort and the harvest isn't as plentiful as the previous season. And that's life. That's understanding that you just keep putting in the effort, and someday the harvest will be bigger, someday it won't. Be okay with that. Be okay with that, and not constantly chase. When are we gonna rest, guys? Man, I'm done chasing. I'm done chasing. The only thing I wanna chase are chickens to lay eggs. Anyway, another example is as probably as a kid with an alcoholic or abusive parent, you learned ways to always plan for the worst. You learned ways to always plan for the worst. I know I was like that, and everything was a catastrophe. Everything was a catastrophe because you don't know what mood they're in today. You don't know when you're going to get it. You know it's going to be bad when you get it. So you're always trying to cover every angle. Have I switched on the lights at the right time? Did I cook his favorite meal? Did I iron the clothes the right way? And that time you're like 9 years old, 10 years old, 9, 10. So your formative years are all about, how do I survive this situation? And you're always planning for the worst. And unfortunately, some people in their adulthood continue to be like that. Everything is a catastrophe. Everything, they're constantly planning for the worst. When they get into a relationship, they're already thinking about the day this person leaves, and that this person's gonna leave. And it breeds such an unhealthy relationship with yourself, first and foremost. So you have to be aware about the things that you do and how you're doing them. There are people that even in a work environment, you're like, it's actually not that bad. Like, it's not this catastrophe you're referring to. No, but everything is wrong. South Africa is a bad bad place. It's dangerous. It's this. I'm like, really? Like, everything is wrong about South Africa? Like, everything? Including you, the food you eat, your family, your house, your... I'm like, we have problems. We have serious crime levels that are really bothering a lot of us, all of us. But is everything bad? So I think that that's where compartmentalization comes in to help you separate the issues. Because it's like if your partner just like forgot to leave the toilet seat up, and suddenly he is the worst human that ever existed. He's useless. He's this. Is it like, really? Just over a toilet seat? Like, somebody needs a couch. Somebody needs to talk. Guys, talk therapy helps. See a psychologist if you are struggling with anything in your life. If you feel stuck, see a psychologist. I can only tell you these things to trigger the work that you need to do, to trigger your awareness. But I cannot do the work for you. And what I say here may not always be the answer for you. Depending on where you are on your journey, you may need far deeper help than what I can give. So it's important to understand where you are. And no, therapy isn't always about paying for it. There are free services that are afforded in other associations. I heard that actually public hospitals have free psychological help. So find the help wherever you need it, and don't be. I mean, don't take out your frustration on other people because they can afford certain things, or take out your frustration on people who create events where you have to pay for it. That's their work. If you can't afford it, keep moving. Find something that you can afford. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything. All right, so where am I? I think another example is, those kids who were always bright kids in high school, maybe in their teenage years. They never had to study much and always left things till like the last minute because they were so brilliant. They were passing everything without much effort, and they always... I'm actually in my head. I'm trying to think of a kid I went to school with who was like that, and so the habit formed, that they didn't have to do any prep up front, and unfortunately they leave everything to the last minute. But you are now an adult. You are no longer as bright and smart as you were, and in fact there's probably a million other bright people around you. And now you have to actually prepare, well in advance. But because you develop those procrastinating tendencies, you haven't outgrown those. So you have to again revisit why you do certain things. And some people, have the inability to let go of the fact that they were once bright. But the world has changed. What you learned then and what you have to learn now and what you have to deliver on now are two different things. So you let go of that. You are always the brightest in the group. You are always the brightest in class. You were always number one. Hey, that was once upon a time. Now there are a million number ones and no one cares about you. No one cares that you were number one 6 years in a row in your school. Nah, this is a different ball game. So you have to look at the behaviors that are not serving you and start to understand why you do those things. Anyway, so things like starting and never finishing projects, that's self-sabotaging behaviors. When something stops you from moving forward, when you stop yourself from moving forward, you are self-sabotaging. You're self-sabotaging. So you need to understand why you do things. And I hope that by now, having listened or attended or tuned in for all of these mentorship sessions I've been doing, I hope you realize that nothing is going to change until you change. Nothing's going to change until you make the decision to change. Nothing's going to change until you act on the decision and you maintain that. Habits are formed over a period of time. Bad habits, just as well as good habits, they are formed over a period of time. So if there's something you need to learn about, it's not going to change overnight, but the awareness is what you are after. Because only when you are aware can you change something. So how do we stop self-sabotage? One, understand why you do it. What need does it fulfill? What are you feeding? Because that right there lies the solution. What are you feeding? What need does it serve? You always have to be looking at the why. Why do you do this? Because that is where the solution lies. Self-sabotage is a symptom of something else. It's just a symptom of something else. And I guess that is why Shirani said, as I said earlier, that it's a protective mechanism. But it is understanding what are you protecting yourself from. And you have to deal with that, you know. And it's about fixing that underlying challenge, the underlying cause, the underlying reason. So commit to understanding before fixing yourself. So many people run to fix mode. You can't fix what you don't understand. If something tells you something is wrong, spend time, good time, understanding why you do those things before you rush to solution mode. Otherwise, you're just going to be putting plaster on a septic wound. Suspend judgment. I'm still on point number 1. Suspend judgment and understand that as negative as behavior may be, it is serving a need. It is serving a need. So what is that need? And what you want to understand is the underlying cause so that you are able to fix it. So only when you understand that underlying cause can you therefore cultivate alternative behaviors. You can cultivate alternative behaviors. Number 2, manage your emotions. Manage your emotions so that you don't commit to behaviors that have negative consequences. So you can't say, no, I'm like that. No, you're not. Your negative, your behaviors must be observed so that you don't commit to behaviors that have negative consequences. Check the warning signs, especially of anger and anxiety, before it gets out of control. So I know when I'm getting angry because physiologically your body tells you. You start feeling hot and sweaty and like you boil. Yeah. So you know the signs of getting angry. So I know when I'm getting angry, I have to dose myself with some water. So, hypothetically speaking. So I have a switch, I have an internal switch that I've practiced over a long period of time since I was a kid. That the moment I get angry, I need to turn it down. Because anger for me, the anger itself is not the issue. The emotion itself is not the issue. It is what you do when you're angry. It is what you say when you're angry. And when I became conscious of how destructive words can be, but also how words can build, I chose to deal with anger differently. So I won't respond in the moment. I won't respond in the moment when I'm angry. I will take my time, and then maybe a day or two I'll come back. They'll be like, about that thing. Let's talk. But then I'll feel a bit more empowered, and I'm in a powerful position for myself because I can articulate myself better. Because when I'm angry, I don't articulate myself well, and I end up being frustrated, and then it's just like it's a thing, a vicious cycle thing, which I don't like. So yeah, I get angry, but it's just what do I do in that moment when I'm angry? And so managing your emotions is about not wanting negative consequences, because If you are angry and you are the kind of person that bleh, when you are angry, the things that will come out of your mouth, they destroy. Guaranteed, nothing comes out of an angry person's mouth that builds. Not a single thing. Nah, I haven't experienced it. So we have to be so conscious of what we're saying when we're in a negative emotion, in a negative state of emotion. 3, start rebuilding your self-esteem. Start rebuilding your self-esteem by saying encouraging words to yourself. Say encouraging words to yourself, because so many of us are caught up in negative self-talk because maybe we think that is how life should be because we've experienced it growing up. Maybe we feel ashamed of where we come from, and maybe we feel ashamed of how we're showing up for ourselves. We don't allow ourselves enough compassion and grace to actually work through our emotions and work through our issues. But if your self-esteem, if your idea of self and your sense of worth is not up there, you're unfortunately going to continuously self-sabotage yourself. So I spent a lot of time on that topic in not the last session, I think the previous sessions, possibly session number 3. Yeah. So you'll find it on this channel. So feel free to subscribe, become a member, watch, do whatever you want. Just enjoy. Number 4, find alternative ways of achieving your goals, starting with the one that least frightens you. There's no one way to achieve a goal. And people who are consumed by anxiety and fear need to start finding alternative ways to getting to their goals. If the one way terrifies you, find another one. Simplify the whole thing. Simplify the whole thing. You know the concept, how do you chew an elephant? So one bite size at a time. And remove that element of anxiety by just consuming things that you can handle. So find alternative ways of achieving your goals. There's no one way, I promise you. There's no one way. I haven't experienced a linear path to my goals. I go that direction first when my intention is to go there, because that's what life dictates. So you have to be agile in how you do things, and agility is what enables you to adapt to changing circumstances. So change is not something that you should fear. It is something that you should embrace as an opportunity to get better, to get more opportunities, more recognition, more better relationships. When one relationship ends, it's probably like you're the greatest opportunity to build on what you know of yourself, to find better relationships, be it friends, be it romantic partners, be it a church, be it whatever your relationships are. It mustn't be seen as this catastrophe. So challenge your behaviors. Number 6, challenge your behaviors. No, actually I skipped one, sorry, 5. Number 5 is start small. Start small. Build up your confidence, and soon you can gradually tackle big goals. So if you're a person that's driven by fear a lot, you have got to allow yourself the grace to start small. So don't go for big dreams and goals because people are doing it, or go for big projects because people are doing it. No, go for what you are able to manage for your own mental wellness. Rather have incremental steps in life. That's my motto, that's my philosophy. I don't care for huge projects that bring in millions and millions of money. No, I just want to do my projects. My work is all about these projects, multiples of them, staggering over a period of time, consistently building over a period of time. That for me is sustainable. There's longevity in that than these big projects that you choke on trying to deliver. My reputation is very important to me. So everything I do, I have to do in a way that I know I'll be able to deliver on it. And I am clear that I get invited to a lot of tables, but I don't have to say yes to all of them, because what is expected of me at that table? What am I willing to give or bring to that table? So yeah, start small and build up your confidence. And the more confident you are, the better your chance of then tackling the big goals. So number 6, challenge your behaviors, your feelings, and your thoughts about yourself. Challenge them, especially when they stand in the way. You have to challenge them. And you have to assume that your brain can lie to you and that your brain can get things wrong, because because of those thinking biases, because of how our thoughts are influenced by our past experiences and what people might have planted in our mind when we were growing up. So challenge your behaviors. Number 7, remove yourself from your thoughts. Remove yourself from your thoughts and objectively look and assess them as though they were not yours. So remove yourself from your thoughts, because it's so easy to get caught up in your thoughts and you think this is who I am. No, it's not who you are. It's just what you do. So remove yourself from your thoughts and look at them objectively as though they were not your thoughts. And then you can start telling me, do they seem logical to you? Especially those fears where, those thoughts where you see threats all around you. When you start engaging with those thoughts objectively as though they are not yours, something shifts. Something shifts. Number 8, understand your triggers. Understand your triggers. Maybe your partner's angry tone brings about very bad memories of you being yelled at as a child and you withdraw from them. But maybe they're not angry at you, they're angry at something, but their tone just triggers something in you. And it's so easy to shut down when I used to be like that. I used to just shut down when someone yells or like their tone is like bleh, because I come from extreme abuse. So I just literally just like shut down. And worse if they were talking to me and they're talking to me in an angry tone. I'm just like, why are you talking like that? Like, I can hear you without that tone. So, but of all the things we go through, it is the awareness. It is the awareness. I'll still tell someone who yells. No one must yell at me. Not a single soul must yell at me. Talk to me. If there's something I've done that it makes you unhappy, talk to me about it. Tell me what I did so that I can tell you that, oh, I wasn't intending on that, or, oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't in the right mind, or whatever. Allow me the opportunity to fix something that I've done wrong, but don't yell at me. In fact, I don't even want to say don't yell at me like a child. You should not be yelling at children to begin with, okay? Please, let's not do those things. And don't get me started. Don't get me started. So, you could also be suffering self-doubt. Maybe, and I'm still on number 8, which is about understanding your triggers. Maybe you come from a family that was highly competitive and you were constantly being compared to your siblings or children next door. And that eroded your self-esteem and your sense of self, and you suffer from self-doubt. So you must be aware of what could trigger those things, and the triggers are really a gift. The triggers are a gift because your psyche is saying, this looks familiar, I've been here before. But it shouldn't be that you then curl up. You must actually take it as an opportunity to see how you keep showing up for yourself because of those things. But boredom can also be a serious self-sabotaging behavior, or it can trigger. Let me say that again. Boredom can trigger self-sabotaging behaviors. Because what happens when you're bored. You want to entertain yourself, right? So you need to be very, very clear about what happens when you get bored. And please don't get bored. No, get bored, but do something healthy with that boredom. Get up and grow vegetables, or play a sport, or find a hobby, a healthy hobby. Knit, crochet, whatever. do something, go to church, because I can tell you the devil works through boredom. The devil works through boredom. Number 9, you must get to a point where failure doesn't scare you anymore. You must fight to get to a point where failure doesn't scare you anymore. So fear and avoidance might temporarily remove the threat, but it also takes away a change it takes away a chance at a great relationship. And it takes away your opportunities. So let me say that again. Fear and avoidance might temporarily remove the threat. So fear and avoidance might temporarily remove the threat, but it also takes away the chance at a great relationship and a great opportunity. So please get to a point where you no longer fear failure, and that failure is no longer this big threat, but an opportunity to learn what you can do differently. And maybe, the end of a bad relationship is a good thing, because it means you can finally go after the relationship that you really want. And I don't accept things like my marriage failed. I tell people I've been married for 15 years this year. Even if this ended this year or tomorrow or next year or in 10 years, let's just assume my husband woke up, or I also woke up, and I was like, yeah, I don't want this anymore. No, I don't like you anymore. I don't think I would say I failed, because I've achieved so much, in this relationship. I have achieved a great family. I've been able to support a human I like to have his dreams, to live the life that he has always dreamed of. I've grown as a person tenfold. I in fact found most of my calling whilst I'm in this relationship. So because it may end doesn't mean I've failed. Me, I'm like, yes, I've been successful. I'm a veteran. So again, it's just about your perspective and your perception of life. Of course, relationships end and it's heartbreaking for whatever reasons. But things must not be seen as such a catastrophe when they in fact aren't. So people who say they failed in marriage after 7 years or 8 years, I say, well, actually, remember that we need to separate ourselves from this concept of married for life, or till death do us part. And the truth is that people evolve, people change, they want different things happen along the way. And if you believe that you gave your relationship everything you could, and you take the lessons out of that, and you move on to what you believe is right for you and your life, so I don't want to spend more time on that, because I know some of you might start pulling the Bible on me and it's a Sunday. Please don't. I don't have one to pull back. I don't have one to pull out and show you. So let's just leave it there. But the point I'm making is that the concept of failure needs to stop being this catastrophic thing, but more an opportunity in terms of what more is life bringing you, what is unfolding in front of you. Number 10, nothing takes away the power of fear than talking about it. Nothing takes away the power of fear over you than talking about it. So be open with your fears. I say, choke your fears by talking about them, because if you expose what you fear, it loses the power over you. And I think, we must actually start to rely on our support system for understanding as we uncover ourselves, because I think nothing is more is more pleasing in a relationship when your partner tells you, I fear this, and I don't know, think about it. If you fear losing your partner, tell them that, tell them that I fear losing you because of where I've come from, or because of what it will mean to me. And that if I maybe act out of character, it's out of fear, but be patient with me as I try to solve that problem, as I try to work on myself to be a better person. I think there's some respect in that. I think there's acknowledgement in that, and I think there's self-respect in that, because you're not shoving yourself down a drain and saying, why the hell do you act like this? No. Remember, compassion, guys. We need to be compassionate with ourselves, because we've been through a lot. The things we are fighting, the things we keep fighting is a lot. And maybe the world is not going to be kind to you, but you have to be kind to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be kind to yourself. So none of us are going to show up perfectly all the time, because it's impossible to do that. But allow yourself the grace to say, listen, I'm terrified here, but I'm working on it. And tell people what support you need. And I'm not talking people who are controlling and have got anxieties that are completely out of control. There I'm saying, please seek professional help, because you're not just harming yourself, you're harming those around you. I'm just talking about, genuine adult relationships. Even in friendships. I mean, I tell my children, if there's something that you need to tell your friend, tell your friend. Be honest with your friend and say, listen, I'm not feeling good because of how you spoke to me the other day. Because we have a right to say those things. And people don't have a right to just abuse us. And actually, people don't have a right to just keep doing things that hurt us without us affording them the opportunity to fix it. And if someone doesn't fix it, then you keep walking. You keep right along, because there's plenty of fish in the sea. There's plenty of fish in the sea. All right. I can see my family is already kind of like, let's go. We need to go. So I hope that you'll take the time and just listen through this and the previous sessions, and I hope that you deserve it all of it. You deserve it. Whatever you want, you deserve it. You just have to work on understanding that you deserve it, and work on understanding why certain behaviors are getting in the way of getting what you want. Because without understanding that, I don't think you'll be able to actually achieve what you set out to achieve. And be compassionate and be kind with yourself and be open. Rely on your support system and say, call me out on my behavior. If I do things I'm not aware of, make me aware. In fact, self-sabotage is one of those things that you really rely on your support system to tell you that you're self-sabotaging, especially the things that you are unconsciously doing. So many people hold themselves from applying for big roles because they think, they don't deserve them. They're not going to be successful. They'll fail anyway. Let people remind you how awesome you are. And write those things down. Focus on writing what you are fantastic at. Because when you constantly go back to that, it boosts your self-confidence. Because it's easy to get caught up in a world that says, I'm not good enough. And once you think you're not good enough, you won't be good. You won't show up well for yourself. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Please watch your behaviors, understand your triggers, appreciate the opportunity in the triggers, because that is where the power lies. Because you need to be understanding the underlying causes of all of these negative emotions we suffer, of all of these self-sabotaging behaviors. But no, you were not born to self-sabotage. No, that's just something you picked up along the way because of whatever reasons. So I actually think that it's just understanding why we do the things we do and how we can change them to make sure we show up best for ourselves. But be compassionate in the process. Do not keep kicking yourself because you make mistakes. Just allow yourself some grace to learn and grow from that and do differently next time. So I'm wishing you all the best. I'm sending you so much love. Please pop your comments. I will respond to them the moment I can. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate the insights that we share. Even when you ask me questions, I gain insights that I wouldn't otherwise have had before. So thank you so much, and happy Sunday. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. Much love from me. Thank you.